He came of age in post-revolution, post-colonial Mexico, eventually becoming one of the world's leading composers. As a conductor, administrator, and composer, he had a lasting impact on the development of classical music in Mexico. Why was he so drawn to indigenous music? What influence did the American composer Aaron Copland have on his artistic development? Or was it the other way around? Find out as we explore Carlos Chavez's most popular work, the Sinfonia India. Born in 1899, Carlos Chavez grew up during a time of turbulence for Mexico. Even a century after its independence from Spain, the long history of colonization had left Mexico searching for its own cultural and national identity. In the early 20th century, this search led to a renaissance of indigenous culture, art, cuisine, language, folklore, and, of course, music. During the 1920s, Chavez extensively toured both Europe and the United States, and he would frequently return to the US throughout his life. It was on these early voyages that he first met Aaron Copland, who would become a lifelong friend and with whom he shared many artistic ideals. Chief among these was the desire to break away from the old European traditions of classical music and to create a new style that would speak more directly to the people of his own country. In a 1931 letter to Copland, Chavez wrote, "European musicians are of the worst kind. Conductors, pianists, violinists, singers, and so on are prima donna-minded people. They are very important to themselves. We must change the situation, Aaron." In the same manner that the nationalist composers on the periphery of Europe, like the Hungarian composer Bela Bartok, had turned to folk song to create a uniquely national sound, so Chavez and his contemporaries turned to the indigenous musical cultures of Mexico as a source of musical material that would be uniquely of the New World. Both Chavez and Copland would devote much of their work towards the creation of national musical styles in their respective countries. And indeed, the two composers would help each other out repeatedly throughout their careers. Chavez, for example, conducted the world premiere of Copland's piece El Salón Mexico in 1936, while Copland repaid the favor by helping to get Chavez's music published by Boosey and Hawkes. Copland famously abandoned a more academic, avant-garde style of composition in favor of one which would appeal to the masses. But it's interesting to note that this shift in his style didn't occur until after he'd become friends with Chavez, and in fact it was the premiere of El Salón Mexico that really marked this shift. Chavez, on the other hand, had been composing using folkloric elements and indigenous music since the beginning. So who was the bigger influence on whom? Carlos Chavez was much more than just a composer. He was a writer who had founded a journal on music at the age of 17. He was a talented administrator who served as the director of the National Conservatory of Music for 5 years. And he was a brilliant conductor who served for 20 years as music director of the National Orchestra of Mexico and also guest conducted major orchestras around the world. Like Bartok, Chavez sought out indigenous melodies and folk song, and as the director of the conservatory, he commissioned extensive studies into the topic. The Sinfonia India, or Symphony No. 2, was composed in 1935 and premiered in January 1936 by the CBS Radio Orchestra in New York under the composer's direction. The symphony is a compact 12-minute piece all in one movement, although there are 3 distinct sections that correspond roughly to the 3-movement symphonic form. The music is heavily based on driving, varied rhythmic patterns, and Chavez heightens the emphasis on rhythm by employing a number of percussion instruments of indigenous origin, although he also provides alternatives for those orchestras that are unable to procure these drums. These instruments include, and pardon in advance for my pronunciation, the yaqui drum, water gourd, tenabari, teponaxtles, grihutian, tlapenhuehuetl, and raspador yaqui. The melodic material of the symphony includes tunes borrowed from various tribes of northwestern Mexico. The opening section is based on a dance-like melody from the Cora tribe. A second, slower, more lyrical theme comes from the Yaqui people. This beautiful, soaring melody gives the whole piece its emotional punch. The middle section of the piece is a big contrast from what came before. It's a more solemn music. It's almost got this processional kind of sound to it. And the melody here was borrowed from another one of the Sonoran people, but in my research I wasn't able to find out exactly which tribe this comes from. So if someone knows the answer to that, please let us know in the comments. The slow processional music gradually transitions back to fast pace of the opening section. We hear repetition of those melodies before we end with this long, extensive coda that's based on a new melody by the Seri people. And this melody is interesting because it actually sounds very similar to the Yaqui melody from before, the big soaring lyrical melody, but it's much more sped up. The driving rhythm here is very similar to malambo. This is a type of dance from Argentina that was made popular by Alberta Ginastera's ballet Estancia. This brings us to a really driving and climactic, exciting conclusion. Chavez's long career was hugely impactful within Mexico, but outside of it, most of his music has been forgotten. The Sinfonia India shows that he produced music which was colorful, energetic, tuneful, and compelling, music that's worthy of being performed more frequently. I'll be honest, I didn't know that much about Chavez, nor the Yaqui, Seri, and Cora tribes until I researched this video, and it's been revelatory not only to discover this music, but to learn a little bit more about the pre-colonial cultures of Mexico from which it borrowed. I hope that listening to this music helps to rekindle an interest not only in Chavez's work, but also in the indigenous cultures so long suppressed, which were his inspiration. And if that's not enough, the Sinfonia India is also simply a banger of a piece, and it's sure to put a smile on your face. So what do you think? Was Chavez or Copland the bigger influence on each other? And what do you think about Chavez's use of indigenous melodies and instruments in this and other works? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to do all the YouTube things. My name is Daniel Black. Thanks for watching.